Hi, everybody.
Coding the inventory was complicated and fun. The end result looks like a real video game instead of a weird video game. I wrote this checklist. I thought I knew how much work each step would take. I thought each step would take the same amount of time. Well, to code this first hotbar cycling and numbers step, I had to code the entire inventory system. It took several days. On the other hand, coding these 4 steps took about an hour. I watched an hour-long tutorial by Peyton Burnham and 2 shorter tutorials by Shaun Spalding. First, I added mouse controls, clicking and scrolling, to the input manager. In the game manager object, which deals with all the global variables, I created this item class and a list of items. I created a default item with a pink and black, no texture sprite, and a real item, the firefly. There will be multiple inventories in this game. The player's inventory where they store their items, the hotbar where they use items, a shop where they buy items, and maybe when you loot an enemy, you open up their inventory. Instead of writing this script straight in the draw event, I made it as a function so that way it can be called multiple times depending on which inventory needs to be drawn, and even draw multiple inventories at once. I think when you go to a shop, you'll see your inventory on the left and the shop inventory on the right. I've never had so many references within references before. Here we see the sprite for the firefly gets packaged into the firefly item, which gets packaged into the global.item list. I put that into this little item variable so that way I don't have to type global.item list every single time, and that gets packaged into one of the parameters in the draw event of which inventory we're supposed to be drawing from, and that gets put into the function to draw it, and then that sprite gets extracted right here, this underscore inventory underscore I dot sprite. I thought, oh man, something will go wrong. I've never done this many references inside references and calling variables from all sorts of different objects before. I've never done something like this. When you try something the first time, something usually goes wrong. And then you figure out what went wrong, you learn from it, you improve, right? So I wasn't dreading a mistake, I was just expecting one. I pressed the run game button. It took a few seconds to load. Normally it only takes 1. And oh my goblogablon, it works! The player can move around like normal, and those weird white boxes in the upper left corner, that's the inventory being drawn. And the way I can tell it worked correctly, even though it's not positioned correctly, is that black line and that pink line. That's the second item in the inventory, the no texture pink and black box being drawn where it is supposed to be, in the second slot. Combining 2 people's tutorials and adapting them to fit the needs of this game worked on the first try. This is the first project I've ever prayed for, asking God to help me make this project well, and I felt the difference. I understand it more, I make more progress. I haven't learned anything else about programming since the last time I tried. I'm just praying, and God is making the difference. You know, God created the entire universe, so I guess programming's pretty easy for him. Anywho, you can scroll through the hotbar or press the number keys. You can press E to pick up items. The pink and black item is the default texture to let me know I forgot to set the item, but for now I did it on purpose to be silly. In the level editor, items have an I texture. When you hover over items in the inventory, it shows you the name and description. After selecting an item in the hotbar, you press space to use it. When this bread is eaten, the hunger bar increases. Hence the name of this video. The 5 most recent foods you ate display in the hunger bar. Vegetables make your stamina increase faster, meat makes you heal faster. This combines the functionality of having potions with the eating mechanic. Now you don't have to go buy potions, just eat food and then it does something. Previously in this devlog, I've made videos about having too many ideas. As I've been coding the inventory, I've thought of new ideas, such as crafting, or clicking on items to see statistics, or different idle animations depending on what you're holding. Maybe when the player has a sword, they take out a whetstone and sharpen it, or something like that. But instead of coding them, I've written them down for a future game. When I save ideas for a later day like this, I don't feel overwhelmed anymore. I can focus on what I have accomplished and what I can accomplish. And I learn. One day I'll be able to make those dreams a reality, but I guess I have to give myself time to dream. That's all I have for now. Maybe we'll cross paths again someday. Until then, God bless.